Hi guys, welcome you to Mindful Movement, the first one of the mindful movements that you've donated for. Thank you very much for that guys, really appreciate it. So just a couple of things before I start. I've got a blanket for relaxation if you want it at the end. I have some water, I have my blocks and strap. Now if you don't have blocks and strap, you can always use a tie from your husband's closet, or get yourself some books to use to lean on. Basically, the books bring the ground a little closer to your body, and the tie will give you an extension to the arm. I've also got a little towel in case I need to pad my knee at any point if you've got any knee problems. So I do suggest you have one of those handy if you do suffer with knees when leaning on them. So we're going to get on with our mindful movement 3, and we're going to start in seated. So I'm actually going to bring a seating block, which you could use a book, or if you've already got blocks, that's fine. And I'm going to get you to come into a seat on top of the block. And then take a cross of the legs in whatever way feels most comfortable for you. Just allow those knees to drop out to the side. With having that block underneath the bum, it elevates the hips and just allows those knees to be slightly lower than the hips. We're going to place the hands on top of the thighs, take a close of the eyes, and like every class we start, we take that mental scan of the body from the top of the head all the way down to the tips of the fingers and the tips of the toes. Just noticing how your body feels as you've arrived at practice. This may be AM, it may be PM, it may be midday. Bodies feel different at different times of the day. Morning, you'll feel a little tighter. Evening, you may feel a little more tired from the day that you've had. But just bringing yourself present in this moment, witnessing everything from how you feel through the shoulders, the hips, the joints of the knees and the elbows, the wrists and the ankles. If you come across anything that feels either tight or you're looking after any injury, try not to judge it at this point, but always be mindful of it as you move in and out of the different poses that I give you today. Relax the shoulders down, grow up through the crown, seating bones nice and rooted either into the block or into a book, or if you're not using a block, into the floor. And as you elongate that spine, take a nice long deep breath in. And as you feel your sit bones root into the floor, take a long breath out and feel that body become a little heavier. And as you breathe in again, feel the body feel a little more light and lifted. Just moving in and out of this inhale and exhale. The exhale feels the body weighting to the floor, and the inhale feels that crown lift and that spine elongate. If you're happy to bring that breath in and out through the nose rather than using the mouth, unless you're holding any colds or allergies, in which case feel free to use that mouth. Take an opening of the eyes. Bring the hands in between the body and just walk those hands forward slightly so those bodies start to tilt over those thighs. Just bringing it to wherever you can get to without those sit bones leaving that block. And take a couple of long deep breaths here. Then I'm going to mirror image you as we walk the hands over to the left side. And feel that stretch through the back of the back on the right. So down that QL muscle. Feeling the stretch as you push that right sit bone back, but twist the shoulders towards that left knee. Again, use that breath to maybe find a little more space to move. Then walk those hands back through centre and take them over this time to the right side. Bringing the hands towards that right knee, pushing that left sit bone back onto the block. Using your in-breath to lengthen the spine, relax the shoulders, and the out-breath maybe to fold a little further over that right knee. Then walk the hands back into the middle and just take a breath out over those legs in neutral spine. Walk the hands back in towards the feet. And then bring the legs into an opposite cross. So whatever foot was in front last time, bring the opposite forward. And find again that cross leg position. This might feel a little alien, it's not your natural place to fold. Then place the hands on top of those thighs. Your breath in raises the hands up towards the ceiling. And your breath out brings your right hand to the left knee and the left hand behind to rotate a twist towards that left side of the room. Drawing your left shoulder back, your right shoulder around, those sit bones nice and grounded on that block. Your next breath in, bring those hands back up towards the ceiling, palms come back together. And then take it to the opposite side. This time the left hand comes to the right knee, the right hand goes behind. Elongate the spine on the inhale, find a twist on the exhale. Encouraging this time the right shoulder back and the left shoulder around. Then bring that body back in through centre, lifting those hands again back up towards the ceiling. And then cactus the arms, lift the chest, send the gaze towards the ceiling, get that stretch through the front side of the neck. And then reach those hands again back up towards the ceiling. Bring the hands to interlace, bring the arms back to shoulder height. Push the chest back towards the back of the room, the chin into the chest. And really feel like you're pushing the back of those hands towards me, turning the palms towards yourself. Pushing that chest cavity into that space between the shoulder blades. And then releasing those hands, bring them behind the back, take an interlace of the fingers near the bum. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift up through the chest. Maybe lift up through that gaze. And then take that chin back into the chest and maybe just fold over those legs a little, just raising the hands away from the bum a little further or not. If that doesn't feel right on the shoulders, keep those hands low. And then release those hands back down to the thighs. Bring the knees in towards the chest, tops of the feet flat. Bring the hands behind you and point the fingers to the back of the room. Keeping the shoulders facing forward, the feet and knees together. Let the knees go over to your left side as you keep that gaze forward and the shoulders forward. Knees and ankles stack on top of each other. Getting a little rotation through that waist. Then bring those knees back into centre. Take the knees over to your right side. Shoulders stay forward and twist through the opposite side. Try and let those lower limbs relax. Then bring those knees back into the centre. And then remove that block from under the bum. Just place the block or the book to the side. This time we're going to bring our legs out wide. So remove the flesh from underneath the sit bones. Draw the toes back towards the shins. Knees and feet facing up. Bring your hands behind. Lift up through the chest first. Gaze up towards the ceiling. Take that stretch through the front side of the body. And then bringing yourself, bring the hands forward, walking the hands towards the front of the mat. And trying to pivot from those hips rather than rolling through the spine. Keep the chest coming forward. Reach the hands as far as you can take them in front of you. Again, keep those toes active. Draw them back to the shins. Push the knees into the mat. Now, it might be that you're quite high up here, but if you feel that stretch through the inside of the groin, you're doing a good job. Long breaths in to elongate that spine. Long breaths out to find a little more depth. Then walk the hands over towards the left side, keeping that right sit bone down, tracking the shoulders towards that left foot. You take another breath in, and then you draw the abdominals back as you fold over that left leg. Keep encouraging the right sit bone back And you'll feel again that stretch through that QL muscle at the back of the body. A place that can get really tight if you've got particularly deep lordosis in that lower spine. Again, as you notice, these toes are nice and active, they're drawn back to the shins. And we're trying to squeeze that kneecap up to push that knee into the mat, the back of that leg, hamstring stretch. Again, you might be up here on this position. Doesn't matter if you feel the stretch. Walk the hands back through centre. Take a breath out in neutral spine. And then walk the hands over to the opposite side. This time you're trying to keep that left sit bone down. The right toes nice and active. Shoulders facing that right foot. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, draw the abdominals back. And find a fold over that leg. Keep using those breaths. The breath is key in yoga to find a pose. And it's good for helping all that circulatory system, that digestive system, really working the body through all systems, all planes of movement. Your next breath in, walk those hands back into the centre. And in neutral spine, just allow that body to fold between those legs. You don't have to come this deep. Once you've come to your range of movement, you might want to grab a hold of the feet on opposite sides with opposite hands. And just allow that chest to fold into the middle. Again, don't go from where I am. It might be that you're up here. It might be you're holding onto those shins. Work with your range of movement. Then bringing those hands back into the centre, start to walk those hands back into the body. And we're going to bring that left foot to the inside of that right thigh. We're going to bring our right hand to the inside of that right leg, lifting the left hand up towards the ceiling, and then we're going to fold laterally over that right leg. So maybe you stay here, maybe you're a little higher, maybe those forearms on that right arm can come to the mat. Maybe you can walk those fingers towards those toes, still keeping that chest open towards the front. Maybe you can fold over to grab a hold of the toe with opposite hand. Left hand to right toe, and feel that stretch down that left side of the waist, breathing that breath into the rib cage on that left side. Again, it might be that you're up here, so long as you feel that stretch there, work with what your body requires. One more breath here. Then bringing those shoulders back up over those hips, taking your left leg out to the side, bringing your right foot this time into the left thigh. Again, bringing that hand of the left to the inside of that left leg, open up that chest, lift up with the right arm up and over the head, and then start to make your way to your range of movement. Again, it might be you're still high. It might be that you can bring that whole forearm down onto the mat. It might be that you can reach towards the toes of that left foot with that right hand, but still opening up through the body, so we're pointing and shining that chest forward, and we're feeling that stretch this time around that right waist, around the rib cage on that right side, stretching through those intercostal muscles to allow those lungs to expand on the inhale, and using that contraction of those intercostal muscles to squeeze those lungs to push that air back out. Your next breath in, raise up through the body. Bring the shoulders back over the hips. Bring the knees in towards the chest. Make your way around onto a tabletop position. And we're going to send both feet back to the back of the mat into plank. And then from plank, paddle the feet to lift up the hips without moving the hands and feet, finding that downward facing dog A shape. Then bringing those heels to stillness, encouraging them back towards the mat. Soften the elbows, push the chest back to those thighs. Squeeze the ribs and hips towards each other. If you need to bend the knees, bend the knees. The aim is to get a flat back. So if your legs are straight but you're rounding through that spine, bend the knees and find that straight back. Taking one more breath here. in this A-shaped position. Now we're going to flow in and out of plank and down dog just to get those joints moving through the shoulders and through the hips. And we're going to do it breath to movement. So your breath in comes forward to plank, shoulders over the heel of the hands. Your breath out, we lift the hips again and we encourage those heels back. So do this to your breath. It may be slightly faster or slower than me, depends on how long your breaths take to come in and out. Every out breath, we go back to down dog. Every in breath, you come back to a plank. Keep that movement in and out. Maybe closing the eyes for yourself here, if that feels good and it makes you more aware of how that body's moving. When you take away a sensation, other sensations start to switch on a little stronger. And I'll tell you and cue you when to stop in plank. Remembering those feet are hip width apart, those hands are shoulder width apart. The next time you come to plank, hold it in plank for a couple of breaths. Keep those elbows soft, crown forward, heels back, drawing those bellies back towards those spines. Then dropping down onto the knees, untucking the toes, bringing the knees underneath the hips, bringing the hands then onto the hips, roll the shoulders back. Bring the hands around to the base of the spine, squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift through the chest, push the hips forward, lift the gaze, and just take it into a mini back bend. So this might be looking quite deep for where you're going. It might be that your back bend is a little higher, but all the time trying to squeeze those shoulders, squeeze those elbows towards each other, tops of the feet are flat on the mat. And really push into those big toes. And then bring those shoulders back over those hips. Bring the hands back down to the floor. Step back to a plank. And lift back to a down dog, squeezing those heels back. Gazing back towards the toes, the knees or the hips to get a stretch through the back of that neck. Your next breath in, we come back forward to plank. And your breath out takes you back to down dog. Breath in comes forward to plank. And your breath out sends you back to down dog. Few more times, moving with the breath, getting used to that breath to movement. So remembering that any time you wish to take a break, stopping to take on water, then joining back in whenever you're ready. And the next time you come back to plank, hold it there for a couple of breaths. And then dropping down the knees. And then make your way into a seat, either swinging the legs around or tucking the feet under, bringing the feet forward, the sit bones to the mat, feet to the mat. Take a hold of the creases of the knees and roll the shoulders back, lift up through the chest. Raise up with one leg first, and then take a raise up of the other, finding that balancing point on the lower part of the spine and in between those sit bones. Point through the toes, lift through the chest. Release one hand out, release the other, or keep a hold of those legs if you wish. Then bring the hands across the chest, sending your right rib towards your left hip and twist the body around. Not twisting from the shoulders, screwing that right rib towards that left hip as much as you can. Bring yourself back to the center and then squeeze that left rib towards that right hip and turn the chest towards the right. One more breath here. Bringing those shoulders back to the center. Same again. Right rib towards that left hip. Squeeze it in. Draw the belly back. Stay tall through that spine. Bring those shoulders back to the center. Left rib towards the right hip and squeeze. One more breath here. Bring those shoulders back to the center. Cross over the feet or swing the legs around. Bringing the hands forward, stepping the feet back to plank. Hold it here for a couple of breaths. Then sending those hips back to down dog. Having a nod and a shake of those heads. Come forward to plank on your inhale. And release those hips back up to the ceiling on your exhale. Forward to plank on your inhale, noticing how those shoulders are going in flexion. Back on your exhale. Forward on your inhale. Back on your exhale. And again, forward on your inhale. Back on your exhale. Then coming down onto the knees, bringing your right foot forward in between the hands. Stay low in the hips, keep the left hand grounded. You can pad that left knee if you wish. Bring your right hand onto the shoulder. Turn the shoulders towards the right side. Then raise that right hand up towards the ceiling, gazing up towards that thumb. Push into that big toe on that left foot. Push into the whole of the front foot. Left shoulder towards the right knee. And then bringing yourself up with the shoulders, keeping that twist in the waist. So we're twisting towards that right side of the room. Left hand comes forward, right hand goes back. Maybe gaze back towards that right hand, just to challenge that balance a little. Making sure the bellies are drawn back and the ribs are drawn towards the hips. Squeezing through those oblique muscles to make that twist. Stabilizing into the feet as you hold this position. One more breath here. Then windmill the hands down either side of that right foot. Step that right knee back to meet the left. Step both feet back to a plank. Hold it in plank for a couple of breaths. Then lifting those hips, squeezing those heels back into that downward facing dog position. Wide hands as wide as the shoulders. Widen the fingers, push into those palms, push those heels back. Feet are hip width apart. Breath in comes forward to a plank position. And your breath out takes you back to down dog. Again, flow with that breath. Breath in comes forward to a plank. Breath out comes back to down dog. Breath in comes forward to plank. Keep that going. Keep nice and strong in the centre. Remembering the core is what you use to move from down dog to plank. And then the next time you come to plank, hold it there. Just hold it for a couple of breaths. Soften those elbows. Push into those palms. Chest away from the floor. Then drop down onto your knees, bringing your left foot through in between the hands. And sink those hips low. Push into the top of the back foot, the whole of the front foot. Right hand stays grounded. Left hand comes to the shoulder. We rotate, we twist, we lift the left hand up towards the ceiling. Gazing up towards that thumb. Feeling that twist through the obliques, through the waist, working that digestive system. Then stabilizing a little more into the feet by pushing into the mat. As you then raise that right hand away from the floor, as you lift the shoulders to stack over the hips, turning around to that left side with the shoulders, hips stay neutral to that short edge of the mat. Reaching back with the left hand forward with the right hand, twisting through the obliques, helping everything move in the body, massaging all those internal organs. Push strong down into the mat to feel nice and stable. One more breath here. And then we windmill the hands down to either side of that front foot. We tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, send the left foot back to meet the right plank position. Holding it here just for a couple of breaths. Then start to paddle those feet as you start to lift up through those hips, taking the gaze back towards the knees or those hips. Squeeze those heels back. And we're going in and out with the movement of the breath. Come forward to plank on the inhale. Back to down dog on the exhale. Working in flexion of the shoulders. Taking that body into nice straight lines in plank. And then back into flexion with down dog. One more time, bringing back to plank on your next inhale and hold it there. So dropping down with the knees, bring your right foot through in between the hands, tuck under the back toes, lift the back knee. Bring those hands onto the top of that right knee as you raise the chest and raise those shoulders over the hips. So lifting up with the arms to high lunge. Take a bend into the back knee, tuck the tailbone down. Keep the tailbone tucked as you straighten that back leg back out. Relax the shoulders, lengthen up through those arms. Then bring those hands to the chest and hold it. Sink a little lower. Then bring the hands behind the body, take an interlace of the fingers and push those hands down that back leg. Heel toe those right toes out to the side. Then as you breathe out, let that right shoulder come to the right knee, lifting the arms away. As you breathe in, lift up that chest, stack the shoulders over the hips. As you breathe out, fold over that right thigh, right shoulder to the right knee. Raise the hands. And then lift again up through that chest and push those hands down that back leg. One more time, bringing that right shoulder to the right knee. Humble warrior, raising the hands. Then lifting that chest again and stacking the shoulders over the hips. Release the grip of the hands. Bring the arms forward. Right elbow under the left. Bring the back of the hands together or double bind by finding the palms. And then lift those elbows to shoulder high. All the time maintaining some depth in those hips. Strength by pushing into the mat. Engaging through those legs. Have those elbows shoulder height. Feel the stretch through the rhomboids between those shoulder blades and the contraction through those pectoral muscles. One more breath here. Then release the hands down either side of that right foot. Bring your right foot back to meet the left. Hold it in plank for a couple of breaths. Then lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. Taking the gaze back towards those toes, knees or hips. And move in and out of flexion and plank. So coming forward on your inhale to plank. Going back on your exhale to down dog. Do this a few times. Maybe close those eyes to really switch that movement to breath. Feeling that fluidity as you move with the hips and the shoulders to different positions. Knowing that you're oiling those joints, sending all toxins out of the joints and replacing those joints with good nutrients. The next time you come back to plank, hold it there for a couple of breaths. And then dropping down with the knees. This time you're going to step that left foot through. We tuck the back toes under, lift up with the back knee. Bring the hands then onto the top of that left knee as you raise the shoulders over the hips. Soften here for a couple of moments. Push into the whole of the front foot, the toes of the back foot. Then raise the arms up towards the ceiling to come up to that high lunge crescent position. And then bring those hands to the chest. Heel toe that left foot out to the side slightly. Bring the hands behind the bum. Interlace the fingers. Push those hands down towards that right heel. Back leg stays straight, front knee stays bent. Breathe in, lengthen the spine. Breathe out, fold over that left thigh, bringing the left shoulder towards that knee. Arms raise away from the back if the shoulders are happy. Your next breath in, lift up through that chest, shoulders back over the hips. And your next breath out, bring that chest to the inside of that left thigh, left shoulder to the left knee, arms raise. And again, lift up through that chest, shoulders back over those hips. And then fold again back over that left leg, raising those hands up towards the ceiling. And then your next breath in brings those shoulders back over those hips. Stay nice and bent in the front knee, release the hands, bring them up to shoulder height. This time your left elbow goes under the right. We either find the back of the hands or the palms on a double wrap. Bring those shoulders up, sink those hips down. Bring those elbows in line with those shoulders and then relax those shoulders back. Feel that stretch through the back of the body and the contraction through the front of the body. Holding it here just for another couple of breaths. Then release those hands down either side of that left foot. Step that left foot back to meet the right, plank position. And then paddle those feet as you start to lift up through those hips. Taking the gaze back towards the toes, the knees or those hips. Creating space between those shoulders and those ears. And then one more time, moving in and out of plank and down dog with the breath. Come forward to plank on the inhale. Release back to down dog on the exhale. Keep that going. One breath to one movement. And the next breath in you take, lift up those hips, squeeze those heels back. Then start to walk those feet into the centre of the mat. The hands back towards the feet. Bring the bums towards the floor. The heels to the front of the mat. And allow those shoulders to relax down towards those hips. Remove flesh from underneath those sit bones. So here we're going to take ourselves into our seated forward fold, and then we're going to take a hold of a leg and raise that leg up. So bringing the hands down by the sides of the body first. Roll the shoulders back. Take a breath in, lengthen up through the arms, lift them towards the ceiling. As you breathe out, fold over that leg. It may be that you might need your tie or strap here. That can be used to fold over that left foot, either with a strap or with the hands around. Take another breath in, elongate that spine. Take a breath out and fold over that leg. Do that a few more times. The inhale lifts, lengthens. The exhale folds and softens. As you breathe out, that belly draws back. And your next breath in, raise up through the body, either with the hand on that foot or the strap. Lift that leg up towards the ceiling. Push the heel away, toes back to the shins. Hamstring stretch down the back of that leg. Roll the shoulders back. Length through the torso, maybe gazing just above those toes. And then your next breath out, slowly let that foot come down to the mat, keeping that chest onto that thigh. Then swap the strap around if you're using a strap or a tie. Take another couple of breaths, moving in and out of lift and lower. Toes are all the time active back to the shins to get that full posterior chain stretch. Your next breath in, we're going to raise up with the body, raise up with that right leg, pushing that heel away, relaxing through the shoulders, growing tall through the body. Using the breath to maybe find a little more stretch through the back of that leg. So it might be that you don't get this super straight like I can. I do have a habit of going into hyperextension. If you're overstretching, maybe rein it back a little bit. And if you feel like you're really locked out, move the hands either down the strap or the leg to maybe find a little more stretch through that leg. Your next breath out, keep that chest to that thigh and allow that body to fold back over that leg. Release the strap to the side, breathe in, elongate that spine. Breathe out, fold over those thighs. Take it to wherever your body can go to. And just then allow the head to relax, the shoulders to roll. Then walking the hands back up those legs. Bringing your right foot into the groin. Bringing your left foot onto that right hand. And your left hand onto that left knee. Or you can take that foot into the crease of the elbow and the knee into the crease of the opposite elbow and interlace the fingers. Lift up through the body and then just give that leg and those hips a little rock from side to side. We hold a lot of tension through hips and shoulders, so when we get stressed we tend to feel a little tightness through this area. And this is a really good way to just loosen off those piriformis muscles, that band of muscle that goes from the front of the pelvis round to the sacrum at the back. A little more movement maybe if you've got it. And then releasing your left knee to the sole of the right foot. Bring your right hand behind, left hand onto the hip. Push those hips forward, lift through the chest. Maybe send that left hand back to the back of the room. Opening it up through that chest. Squeezing the bum to lift those hips. And then release that bum back down. Straighten out through both legs. This time bring your left foot into the groin. And bring your right foot either into the left hand and then place the opposite hand on the opposite knee. Or take it a little closer if you've got that range of movement, placing the foot into the crease of the arm and the other crease of the elbow around the knee. And while we're here, just rock from side to side. Lift up through that chest. Breathe long, easy breaths, thinking about where it feels tight. Send the awareness to that space and take those breaths as deep as you can, in through the nose and out through the nose, sending the awareness to where it feels tight. One more breath here. And then bringing that left knee to the sole of the right foot. Bringing your left hand onto the left hip, your right hand behind. Your right hand onto the right hip, your left hand behind. Lift up through the hips, lift up through the gaze. Sending that right hand then to the back of the room. Try not to lock out in that elbow on that left side. Pushing the hips as far forward as you can take them, squeezing the bum to lift them. One more breath here. Then release those bums back to the mat. Bring those feet back forward. Flatten the feet. Keep the knees bent. Bring the arms to shoulder height and then slowly curl down that spine, one vertebra at a time, trying to keep those feet grounded as you release those bodies nice and slowly to the mat. Core strength to control that movement. And then when those shoulders relax down and those heads come to the floor, bring the feet a little closer in. Bring your right outside ankle onto the top of the left thigh. And then raise that left foot away from the floor. Then raise the left leg to the ceiling and squeeze that leg in. Push that right knee out with the right hand, just to open that hip a little further. So hamstring stretch down the back of the left leg, external rotation through the right. One more breath here. And then release that left foot back to the floor, keeping the right foot where it is. Bring the arms out to T-shape. Let that right foot come to the outside edge of the left side of the mat. Take the left hand onto the right knee and encourage it down towards the mat. Maybe gaze towards that right hand with the head. Feel that stretch through the waist. Maybe a stretch through the outside of that right thigh. One more breath here. Then bring that left hand back out straight. Lift that left knee back up to the centre. Swap over legs. This time bring your left foot onto the top of the right thigh. Open the knee out. Raise the right leg away. Then raise that right foot towards the ceiling. Maybe use that left hand to push that left knee out. Trying to draw back with the right leg, but resist with that left foot. Then release that right foot back down to the mat. Keep the left foot where it is. Bring the left hand back out. Take that left foot over to the right side of the mat. Let the knees drop over. Maybe bring the right hand onto the top of that left knee. Maybe gaze towards that left hand. Try to encourage the left shoulder down. Real good rotation again through that waist. Working that digestive system. Awakening all those internal muscles and organs. Get them to do that job properly. Then release the hold of that left knee if you're holding. Bring both legs back into the centre. Release the left foot back to meet the right. Hug the knees in towards the body. Give those knees a squeeze. And then release those feet down to the floor. You can either choose to take relaxation in butterfly legs or send those feet out long. If you wish to use a blanket, place a blanket over the body. And from here, relax the shoulders. Send the shoulders down towards the hips to create space between the shoulders and the ears. Push into the feet, lift the hips, squeeze that tailbone towards that short edge of the mat. Then give those hips a little rock. Maybe have a turn of the head in one direction. Bring it back through centre. Take it over to the other side. Bring it back into the middle. Take a long breath in through the nose. Long sigh out through the mouth. Then take it to your natural breathing, releasing anything you're holding throughout the body. Then bring the focus to the centre of the forehead, the mind's eye, the third eye. And just imagine there's an orange light in the centre of that forehead. As you breathe in, that orange light gets a little bit bigger. As you breathe out, that orange light reduces in size. Watch the breath. Watch that orange light expanding on your inhale and retracting on your exhale. Keeping those eyes closed. Those lips gently parted, the tongue dropping away from the roof of the mouth, softening the jaw and the forehead. As you watch that breath, watch that orange glow. So staying here for as long as you wish, watching that breath, watching that glow in the centre of the forehead. And in the meantime, have peace in your thoughts, have peace in your words, have peace in your hearts. From my heart to yours, Namaste.